Hey everybody, back and on a topic that I think is really worth exploring. And first of all of you know that I have for some time talked about and established this channel as a beachhead in covering the change in the hotel stadium tax revenue coming from the Nevada legislature approved 87 100ths, 88 100ths, and 1% tax on rooms in the Clark County area, Las Vegas Strip and beyond, which actually drops to 1/2 of 1% beyond a certain point, because that money is slated to go to a bond issue for the proposed and planned Oakland Raiders Las Vegas Stadium. Okay? On April 15th of last year, I explained that for the first time in detail, I had dropped hints about it prior to the 15th, but I said, hey, you know what? That stadium tax isn't big enough. That tax rate is too small. Prior to that, I was complaining about the debt coverage ratio of 1.5 to 1 with respect to the bond issue. A lot of technical stuff, all right? Then I said 2 days before the National Football League voted 31-1 to allow the Raiders to go about this flight of fancy conditional relocation activity that to Vegas, that I said that this event was one Paris attack away from failure. Some folks got mad, but I did say that. And I broke it out in the video to emphasize that part of the conversation I was having with ESPN reporter John Clayton, if you recall. So, then later in the year, I said that the tax rate should be 1.4%. And among others, then Clark County Commission Chair Steve Sisolak, who's still Clark County Commissioner, I believe he's still Commission Chair, got mad and basically said I was wrong. Then the numbers started coming in, and I am not at all wrong. Okay? I'm not at all wrong. Not only am I not wrong, but I'm going to dig this up and I'm going to show you something. I'm going to not show it to you, but I'll read it to you because it's a really interesting article that came out on the 31st of January. Quite an interesting one. Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties, folks, but yes, don't know why that froze, but it did, nonetheless, returned. Now, as I was saying, in fact, to make sure that everyone knows I'm out there and that you're out there with me, I will tweet this out right now so that it can be seen by people who may want to, participate, right? So, Raiders, hashtag NFL, oops, hashtag Vegas, boom, and hashtag Oakland. Got it, okay? Boom, now that is posted and out. All right, yes, and I'm back on live stream. Back on live stream. Now, for those of you in, thumbs up. Thank you. Okay. The article I'm talking about is this one I was going to show you right here. Las Vegas Strip casinos see gambling revenues drop for 3 months straight. All right. Now, in truth, prior to the posting of the article, this was a problem that started back in August. And so August and September, from the stadium authorities' point perspective, posted deficits. And as we went into September, that was originally another deficit, and then when they first posted it, they being the Las Vegas Stadium Authority, and then when additional information came in, it went from a deficit to a slight surplus. Then October had deficit, and then a deeper deficit in November, and then an even deeper deficit in December. Now we're waiting to see what the January monies are going to report. I thought the reason had to do with just the small stadium tax rate. Doesn't help at all. Then I conjectured that perhaps it was the spike in homeless in California. Some people who in the past, when they had money, would take a trip to Vegas. I thought perhaps that enormous problem of the rising cost of living in California served to, hamper spending in Vegas, and therefore that's why people weren't going, and it was reflected in hotel occupancy rates, right? I still think that's a factor. But CNBC in this article written by Jeff Daniels provides another reason, backed by the casino industry itself. Makes a lot of sense. Vegas casinos saw gambling revenues fall 3.2% in December from a year ago. Baccarat revenues declined in December. Baccarat's a high-end game, by nearly 30% compared with a year ago. Analysts suggested the big drop in Baccarat may be due to fewer high rollers from Asia and competition from the Macau market. All three of the major Las Vegas-based casinos were lower in stock trading today, Wednesday, okay? And the article goes on and it reads, casinos on the Las Vegas Strip have seen their gaming revenues drop now for 3 consecutive months, according to data released today, Wednesday, by the Nevada Gaming Control Board. The gaming regulator said that casinos on the Strip won about $571.5 million from gamblers in December 2017, a decline of 3.2% compared with the previous year. It followed monthly gaming revenue declines of more than 6% during October and November. Wall Street analysts suggest the big drop may be due to fewer high rollers from Asia and competition from the Macau market, as the game of Baccarat is considered especially popular with international gamblers. And this is an analyst at CFRA Research saying, I'm a little surprised with the quickness of the deceleration of the Las Vegas Strip. It's coming at a point when the Chinese territory of Macau is enjoying a rebound. Michael Lawton, a senior research analyst at NGCB, said the last time there was a 3-month consecutive decline in the Strip gaming revenues was in the March to May 2016 period. Wow. Note that. We had a month where Baccarat really kind of drove the numbers for the Strip down, says Lawton. Without Baccarat, the Strip's win in December would have been up 7.5%. or 31.5 million. And Anobi says the decline in gaming revenues on the Strip comes as revenue available per room, listen to this, I'm going to repeat this. This is crucial to listen to. All right. Amobi said the decline in gaming revenue on the Las Vegas Strip comes as revenue available per room, or RevPAR, a key metric used by the hotel room industry, is also showing signs of weakness in Las Vegas. It's now in the very low single digits and actually deepening into negative territory, reads this article, and said Mr. Anobi. Still, Anobi said the convention business on the Las Vegas Strip has been holding up well despite softness in other areas. What happens is that convention business has been doing a lot of the heavy lifting for companies like Las Vegas Sands and Wynn Resorts and so on, because that market, I think, will probably has a much longer cycle, talking about the convention market. Despite the slowdown on the Vegas Strip, the downtown Las Vegas and North Las Vegas casinos as a group generated double-digit percentage increases in gaming revenue compared with a year ago. And also the Reno, Nevada casinos experienced better. Okay, so this is about, at that point, talking about the state. But the news here, basically, is quite simply that hotel occupancy is also on the wane. And what that means is when you have lower hotel occupancy, you have fewer dollars from hotels, from people booking hotels. That means a lower stadium tax revenue per month. And what's happening, and this really spells some long-term doom for this project, for the Raider project, even beyond what I had thought. And I say long-term doom, I mean, not that it's going to crash and just end, but it's looking less and less desirable to do. Note we are at a point where no money has been let for the subsidy at all, because the bond hasn't been floated. The bonds haven't been floated. They haven't been approved, because the stadium documents the cost to build it and all that. The development agreements are not done. The community benefits plan or agreement, not done. And this is February 7th, okay? So we are at this position, 5 going on 6 months behind where we should be with respect to the stadium, okay? And thank you for sending a tweet, Barry Lee. And so from this position, we have people like the treasurer of the state of Nevada, who is proposing a run for governor and planning a run for governor, saying that if he is governor, he will undo the Raiders stadium tax that would go to the bond issue. That's this November. Okay. So we already have a situation where the stadium tax rate is too small. But now we have what I'm going to go out on a limb and contend is the perfect storm situation that's negative to the Raider deal. And also, because it's negative to the Raider deal, it's negative to the Clark County taxpayer, and that's this. We are witnessing the full flowering of year upon year upon year of organizations like Las Vegas Sands and Wynn Resorts building not just hotels, but gigantic mega resorts in China, in Macau, okay? And, hey, go CSU, how are you? And if you take a look at the prospectus for Las Vegas Sands from a year ago, they mentioned a great deal about Macau. Now, the untrained mind thinks that Las Vegas Sands has casino business only in the United States. Not so. Not only that, it's making moves to build in Japan. Las Vegas Sands and Wynn Resorts, among others, are building the resorts that are stopping international visitors from coming to Las Vegas at a time when the Raiders have elected to build a stadium based in part on a public subsidy that relies on a revenue from a tax on hotel rooms in Las Vegas and Clark County. The same block of rooms that's being negatively impacted by the growth of resorts by the same people, Sands and Wynn, in Macau, among other parts of Asia. Oh, and did I mention, I believe I did, they're moving to build resorts in Japan, considered by some to be the last untapped large market for gamblers. Wow. So over the long term, 30 years, that rosy scenario of consistently increasing hotel revenues is just that. In reality, not only is it already not happening, but the long-term development pattern of people like Wynn Resorts and Las Vegas Sands building over in China is only going to hurt Las Vegas. And it's going to cause taxpayers to want to cough up money, even if they don't know it, to pay for the bond issue for the Raiders Stadium. The question is, what will happen when they get wind of it? And it will happen this year. As I said last night, okay? As I said last night, all right? As I said last night, when I made this point, okay, that when we have a situation where revenue is not large enough to pay off the bond issue because it's a general obligation bond, I've said this before, it will dip into the general fund that normally goes to education. And I said that because of that dynamic, you have, this is an election year, folks. You have Steve Sisolak, Christian Giuliani, the Nevada Treasurer, Nevada Senator, State Senator Adam Paul Laxalt, all running for governor. Of the big four, only one, Sisolak, supports the Raider deal. The rest don't. That's a bad sign. Okay. So Barry Lee says the NFL should look at San Antonio for failed hotel tax revenue from bank on 1990 with the Alamo Dome. Okay. And the point is that Rick Rice says, you think the guy has a real chance of getting elected? Which guy? Well, let me take, you mean the treasurer guy who is already, let's look at, Rick Rice? That is a dramatically excellent question. Let's see what early polling shows for the Nevada governor's race. Nevada governor's race 2018 polling. Let's see if we can get an answer to that question, okay? And here's a poll by, I don't know who it was issued by, but it was reported by the Review Journal January 14th. Poll gives Laxalt advantage in governor's race. And it's interesting because Laxalt is the man who's seen by some as having the morals issue. But, and then I'm waiting, as I wait for this to open, let's see here. Oh, ML Scott says, I'd like to know who has the strongest chance of getting elected, which candidate does. And I'll have the answer from the perspective of this particular article as soon as it opens, which is right now. So as I scroll down, the page, wait for the page to open. As I scroll down, I'm looking at Mr. Laxalt's face, and I'm waiting for the words to appear. This is one of those ad-heavy pages where the ads use JavaScript, and JavaScript sucks random access memory, RAM, so it takes time to scroll down, all right? So, okay. It says one gubernatorial candidate released internal polling, while another snagged a key endorsement from the teachers union last week in Nevada politics. And it says, who cares if we're 10 months away from the general election? It's never too early for political polls. It says an internal poll from Republican Adam Laxalt's gubernatorial campaign shows him well in front of primary opponent Treasurer Dan Schwartz by a margin of 66% to 7%. So there's your answer, Rick Rice. They're both Democrats. So Adam Paul Laxalt has a far better chance of getting elected over this guy, okay? This guy. And it says polls show Laxalt ahead, but in a tighter race for the general election against both major Democratic candidates. It had Laxalt up 6 points on Clark County Commissioner Steve Sisolak by a percentage margin of 44 to 38, and ahead of Clark County Commissioner Chris Giuliani by a percent margin of 45 to 34. So from this polling, it looks like Laxalt's more than likely the person will be governor. And so that's it. So in this reads, but a competitive primary between Sisolak and Giuliani could hurt the eventual Democratic nominee in the general election. We expect another toss-up open seat race in a toss-up state. That's how that reads. That's how that reads. Now, so there's one answer, all right? And Rick Rice responds, wow, this thing has a real chance of falling short. Yeah, it does. It has a very real chance. It really does. Now, something else, too. Yes, Citron asked, did I hear about the Raiders securing land for the new facility? Let's put this in its proper framework. The county approved the deal to sell the land to the Raiders for an undisclosed sum. Now, how much is that? Considering that we built the Raiders headquarters and training facility for about $10 million, it's probably about $10 to $20 million range. So in the total scheme of things, it's not like this gigantic expenditure. It may be $40 million, but it's not this gigantic expenditure. Also, something else, I remind you, all the Raiders did was buy the land. They bought the land, but they haven't built anything. Okay? So what the Raiders are doing is, as a friend of mine who is in the investment banking industry said today via text, smart. They're playing both sides. They're in Oakland. They're going to be in Oakland for the foreseeable future, or until it's quite clear they've got all the kinks worked out in Las Vegas, and if they don't, they'll stay in Oakland. Okay, that's the situation. So G. Taylor asks, how can Clark County back out of this deal? Citron says land costs $6 million. Oh, thank you. That's a drop in the bucket. See, that's nothing. That's like, in the total scope of this $2 billion deal, that's chump change. So, okay, fine. And I mind you, they haven't built anything. Barry Lee says, when via city bus system here in San Antonio failed to get enough hotel tax revenue back in 1990, they had to sell the Alamo Dome. And I don't believe the Raiders are going to let, if this turns out to be the disastrous situation it's looking like, it get that far. They've got Oakland. And by all accounts, to me, they're doing everything they can to hold on to a solid situation in Oakland with solid relationships, and at the same time work out Vegas and try to, this is the situation they're in. They're trying to make the best of a bad one, a bad situation. A year ago today, there was the idea, no one knew a year ago today. Think about where we are at. A year ago today, no one really expected us to be here. Okay? I mean, it was kind of like, well, gee, is this really going to happen? And it was like, you know, we all agree it was a lousy idea. And then, of course, March, they voted for it. And it was also clear that the previous fall, okay, that we had a plan, that Ronnie Lott was involved, and things looked like they were headed in the right direction from perspective here. But it was also quite clear that Oakland had already been set up in a way where good faith negotiations were violated. All right? Because the year before, 2016, we didn't know at the start of 2016 that the Raiders were working with representatives of the Nevada government and the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. So all this was driven by, for the most part, Sheldon Adelson's money. And then on February 26th of last year, all right, after the deal, before the deal was approved, Adelson went away, which, had he not went away, I contend Davis would not have gotten the votes that he got. So it does leave the question of how much gone is he, really, right? Because without him, Adelson being out of the picture, at least publicly, the Raiders don't get those votes. But if he's true, let's assume that what he is saying is true and that Mr. Adelson is a straight-up guy and that he doesn't, you know, play things where looks like he's telling a fib, okay? Let's say that's the case, and his money is truly out of it. And if that's the case, and I believe that it is, then the Raiders are in a situation where they have had to consistently play damage control because they don't have his money to access. That is a very, very bad situation to be in, because now, without his money to access, you can't take that money and refurbish Sam Boyd Stadium. You can't make the move from Oakland to Las Vegas like you thought you could. You still have this face you have to put on as if you are following the timeline because you want to sell suites and personal seat license. You have to understand that any picture the Raiders present of a deal failing right now causes demand for personal seat license to drop like a rock. So the Raiders right now are in trouble, and they are, as we speak, working out damage control from a number of fronts. That's what's happening here. So Big Abel says, Bill Weathers said, before you wreck your old home, be certain of your new. Raiders need to take that advice. Black Lion Supreme says, one love. ML Scott says, when this mess falls apart, how will they spin it? Who will blame who? ML, that's a really great question. And I think that in of itself is worthy of a conversation. Paul Venegas, haven't seen you in some time. Paul Venegas chat writes, at this moment, how much money does Mark Davis have tied into Las Vegas with the land and testing of the soil? I would estimate about 160 million, but I still believe that's not his money. I believe that's money that he got from Adelson before Adelson went south, and they used that to buy the land and to also plunge into making the basic infrastructure changes. The Raiders only have so much money, okay? And there is a line to be crossed. It's like a Venn diagram relationship between what a stadium makes in terms of its revenue and what a team needs in terms of its revenue and can draw from the stadium on top of what it gets from the NFL. So you have the NFL base money, and then you've got sponsorship money that comes to the stadium in terms of signage. Part of that is used for the team. And then the team, of course, has its own sponsorship agreements that are in addition to what it's able to secure as the owner, or, well, the controlling owner, the controlling organization of the stadium, what's called Stadco. But they fit together like this. And basically what you want is a situation where the stadium is making enough money to be self-sustaining in terms of operating revenues versus over operating costs. And it doesn't come into, you don't have to borrow from what the team makes in order to pay for your stadium. Right now, the Raiders are looking at a situation where they do. That's not a good situation. Okay, so Barry Lee says, why would the Raiders not have gotten the votes if Adelson was still involved? Because they didn't want the specter of gambling to be publicly out there and noticed. The NFL, as recently as 2015, was the plaintiff in 2 lawsuits challenging, Tony Romo, for example, for having a charity event next to a casino in Las Vegas. There were 2 lawsuits the NFL actively fought to get those activities to stop in Las Vegas. The commissioner has said, hey, we don't want a casino owner. He has softened his point of view, but he hasn't went all the way, and the NFL policy hasn't changed where it's been completely rewritten to accommodate Mr. Adelson. All right? So, Bunko says this whole situation is just super awkward. Yeah, it is bad. It's quite bad. It really is. And so it's, awkward is an interesting term. It's quite an interesting term. And I've got to see where any comments I missed here. I did not. Hey, Corvette, how are you doing? And nice to have everybody here. Corvette, Paul, Punker. Yeah, this is bad. This is a bad state to be in. And let's see if there's anything on the stadium tax beyond that. And so here's the thing. People don't want to be taxed. Here's a vote out of Denver regarding regarding the stadium there. This is by 9 News Denver. This was February 4th. Would you vote for a tax that will allow us, the people, to name Mile High Stadium? 61% out of 1,694 votes, as I look at this, said no. Okay? No. And, okay, there's the live stream I got up there on Twitter. Let me see the latest. The latest is what we're talking about. If you type stadium tax in Twitter, you find the notice for this, okay? Which is as it should be. I'm looking for more information about the anything new about the Las Vegas situation I may have missed. Let me go see if Steve Sisolak may have put something out, because he's usually good for providing us with an update of the numbers, right? And no, in fact, he just put up a tweet 27 minutes ago Great to see friends like Jeffrey Carlson at the Dems meeting tonight. That's Henderson Democrats. Okay. Uh, so he got the endorsement 8 hours ago of the Clark County Education Association. So it's interesting. He and Jen Giuliani are battling for the education soul of Nevada. She gets the state of Nevada's education endorsement. He gets the local education teacher's endorsement. However, Clark County is 71% of the total population of Nevada. Just letting you know that. Anyway, I don't see anything regarding stadium tax. I'm going to see our Progressive Club here. And then Senator Joel Neal. And Sisolak yesterday said he won't take a salary as governor. And so that's pretty much it. Nothing new. That's from Sisolak, and nothing new about this stadium. If I type hotel tax there, let's see what comes up. And nope, nothing directly about what we're talking about at all here. At all. So no. All's quiet on the Western Front. All's quiet on the Eastern Front. All's quiet on fronts in between. There. Now get to your comments. Black Lion asks, I still don't understand why the NFL would sign off on the deal moving to the gambling capital of the world. Well, something to remember is that this has always been described, this deal is conditional, okay? And, I mean, always. And so, conditional means we're going to let you do this and see how far it goes. We'll approve it, okay? We'll approve it, but you have to do it. That's the condition. If you don't do it, then you don't move. So it's kind of an automatic, it's kind of automatic shut off. In other words, okay, oh, they didn't get this agreement. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. So we don't move. Fine. That's what that means. Corey Brown says, hope Oakland is ready to pounce once this deal officially dies. That's a good question. Right now, I'll be candid with you. I think that Oakland is in a holding pattern with that. We still have a leadership vacuum. And we have an approach that hasn't, as of this discussion, changed. I understand. Maybe, I'd like to hope things will get better, and I'm going to hope that they do. As I understand that there's supposed to be someone brought on board to focus on the A's issue. Hold on a second. And by that I mean the A's stadium. And so you would think, logically, that person should be able to take on the Raiders deal. Now, something else. I haven't seen any mention of Larry McNeil. Remember the Raiders guy? Larry McNeil? I wonder if they still have him. Hold on. Let me check and see if I missed something. ML Scott asks, what would the Raiders do with the land if they stay in Oakland? Resell it for top dollar, or could this be a way for Davis to slide in to purchase the land and build a casino? I don't know where the casino stuff is coming from, so I'm not going to respond to that. In fact, I will say this. It would be stupid for anybody to build a casino in Las Vegas or Nevada now, given how that region is being hampered by the growth of casinos in Asia. If you want a picture of the future of Las Vegas and Nevada, I hate to say this, take a look at Reno. Reno, at the start of the 21st century, was such that if you went to the Silver Legacy or any hotel and you went to one of those bars where they have the slot machines at the bar, you would wait in a line 9 deep just to get a cocktail at the bar, because there were people who also sit down and gamble. Today, you can walk up to any one of those bars in any one of those hotels and there's no waiting. There's no line. There's no nine deep. Okay? You have efforts to convert casinos into other uses and so on in Reno. That is not a reality confined only to Reno. That is Nevada's future. And part of that future has been fueled by the large casino companies going overseas to catch dollars and hurting the growth of the casino industry in Las Vegas and Nevada. All right? So, Big April says, and Black Lion says the San Antonio doesn't want the Raiders. Big April says, say the Raiders stay, which I think will happen. How will Mark Davis start the healing process between the Raiders and Oakland? There are a lot of hurt people in the nation. You know, that's, I think, you know what? I think Mark will look at it for what it is. He would say, you know, look, Raider Nation, we gave it a go in Las Vegas. We tried our best. It didn't work. We're going to give you a home right here in Oakland. We think we can get it done here, and we're going to get it done here. That's what he'll say. Because, look, what else can he say? Well, we tried it here, so next we're going to Rancho Cucamonga, or next we're going to Outer Mongolia, or next we're going to Mexico. In other words, after this episode in particular, the Raiders are not going to be in a situation where they have this cash of money to spend someplace else that will not be in the NFL's best interest. All right? I mean, this is where they basically have shot their wad. Corvette says, I know... Corvette says, Barry Lee said, Corvette come to San Antonio, it's Jerry's world. And Corvette asks, if Vegas fails, then Mark will go back to San Antonio. He doesn't want to be in Oakland. But my thought regarding San Antonio is that you cannot just simply walk into that area, that territory, with the Dallas Cowboys here, from your perspective, from the Dallas Cowboys here, right? And the Houston Texans here. So you've got San Antonio, right here, you know, threatening to siphon off their sponsorship dollars and fan base. No way. They're not going to just let that happen. So I can't, I've heard that before, and I've continued to believe that San Antonio is nothing but leverage. And not only that, I would bet that the San Antonio people, having seen how the Raiders have been playing Oakland and the situation in Las Vegas, if it gets to a point where the Raiders start flirting with them, I'll bet you this time around San Antonio will say, no, we don't want this. We'll get it another way if we can get it. If not, there are other sports like esports we can take advantage of. We like where we're at. Okay, so that's how I believe that's going to plan out. As G. Taylor just typed, over Jerry's dead body. Yeah, you know. And Corvette, I don't think, my point is, it might seem like he doesn't want to deal with Oakland, but this goes back to the Quincy Jones analogy, where Jones says that the Lord presents bad things in your face and says, deal with them. I think this situation, from the Raiders' viewpoint, is going to look like that bad thing that they have to figure out how to deal with. So, Black Lion says, we already have the pleasure of talking to the man who got $300 million for a stadium for the Raiders in Oakland, yet he has no place in negotiations of keeping our team home. Oakland has failed. And me? Thanks. But I think, you know, I don't think Oakland has failed. All right, and to say anybody has failed at anything is to say in the next breath that they're not going to be alive to do it again. And I disagree with that point of view in life. Oakland is home to the Raiders. Hey, do you realize that USA Today, as I talk to you, has a survey out of the best sports fan bases in the world? The Raider Nation is on that list. No other NFL fan base. Raider Nation. Can you see the Raider Nation surviving in Las Vegas? I can't. I can't. Big April says XFL is going to look sad again, but this time it will work. And, I'm thinking about that, and I'm still not sure. Because the one thing I can say, as I start thinking through what I heard about the XFL, is this. If the XFL goes back to the plan that it launched when Dick Ebersol was alive, rest in peace, 2000 failure. If the XFL positions itself as a development league for the NFL, I think it's got a better chance of working. So, much better. Corey says, I didn't know it before. Yeah, much better. So, making sure I've got all my commentary out of the way there. Right, I do. Okay. And Corey says, I've got that one. And G. Taylor makes this statement. I'd like the Raiders to leave today as long as Mark owns the team, though. Why is that, G. Taylor? Punker says, what's next? Raiders leave for Mars? There's the headline. Elon Musk buys Raiders, puts team on giant rocket ship, blasts it off to Mars to be in orbit for billions of years. A football stadium in orbit. There's the next Raider home. There it is. A football stadium in orbit. That's it. We saw it yesterday. He starts with a Tesla Roadster. Next headline, he moves for something 200 times bigger. A football field. A stadium. We'll assemble the football stadium in space. Anyway, Emil Scott says, Elon Musk is an NFL owner. I actually like the idea. If we could pitch him, of all people, to buy the Raiders from Mark Davis and then made it with that Hyperloop that he's got for the Coliseum because he's got the tracks there. Ooh. That's starting to sound like a really good idea. That's starting to sound like a massively great idea. Ooh. And then work with him to get the air rights for the Hyperloop along the Caltrains area that's coming through there. Yeah, be interesting. Meanwhile, Corvette types the Martian Raiders. The Martian Raiders. How about that? Elon Musk as the owner of the Raiders. What would the Raiders be like owned by Spaceman? That's my new nickname for Musk. Quentin Rose says he may be the Raiders when Mark passes. Hey, but Elon Musk as Raider owner. That'd be a great separate vlog, live stream. Ooh. Hey, has anyone followed National Signing Day? Just a question. Punker says bandwagon Raider Martian fans, some of which have bought Tesla Roadsters on Mars. G. Taylor says we already have a space cadet as an owner. Ooh. Oh god. Oh god. I'm not touching that one. I don't think he's a space cadet at all. I think Mark Davis is a very nice man who has learned the football business on the fly and who's an only child. I don't consider him spacey. Spacey is the last thing that comes to mind. I consider him to be prickly at times, by turns nice, and by terms thoughtful, and by terms solemn. That's how I read them. All right. So, Emil Scott says, Hyperloop from LA to Oakland in 20 minutes. Ooh, I like that. Quinn Rose says, yes, Miami had a good class. So did Georgia. Arguably #1 in the country. They stole the top cornerback in the country from Alabama. And so, yeah, you know. Black Lion Supreme says, shout out to Elon Musk, who just killed the flat earth nonsense. I never thought that that was alive. I mean, who believed that? Why is it that we always have these people out there, no matter what you show them, they offer that jazz? You can, if you are an amateur astronomer, you know there is no flat earth. You know that. You know, there is a lot to be said for astronomy and paying attention to what's out there. Yeah, there really is. Okay. Punkaroo says, Christmas, I mean Mark Davis. Yeah, UGA is #1. And UGA is #1. But Elon Musk is Raider owner. He would produce or catalyze the production of a very state-of-the-art stadium. I can't see him doing anything normal at all. Donis, how are you? So Raiders picked the new headquarters in Nevada. No, they just bought the land for $6 million. That's it. As Barry Lee says, stay on topic, please. Quentin Rose says, it's sad the USA has, well, whatever. That's, Quentin Rose, that's not the topic. Okay, so I'm not going to do that. Sorry. How come once we get over like 29 visitors, we start getting this weird stuff, you know? It would be great to get like 40 or 50, you know, I don't care if it's 10, but as long as everybody's on the same topic, that's cool. You know what I mean? It's like, Quentin, you want to stick around. Stay on topic. Just look at what other people are talking about and then go from there, okay? That's just, you know, and I just have to say this publicly regarding Go CSU. Hey, man, love what he does. But the one thing I wish he would stop doing, this is to anybody else that would be a moderator and then also have their channel, is don't come to the other person's channel and promote what you do. Help them move along their discussion, because he came in and it's like, hey, it's all about my thing, right? And I know he's excited to do this and be here, and I'm going to talk to him about it as well. But I don't like to be two-faced. My point, and I'm also, there are other people out there who may want to have their shows on Zenny 62. Great, but support each other. Like when we go to Go CSU, we support his stream. And so what I'm saying is that, and we don't say, hey, look, we're going to be on, we don't go to his stream saying, hey, come to my stream, right? That's wrong. I'm going to talk to him about it. But I'm saying don't do that. Be supportive of the stream topic and what the person's talking about. If you have information that you think everyone should know that, you know, might change the conversation, but it's so important you just can't help it, fine, let's say so, right? Hey, I got some information, right? And let us deal with it. But don't act like the conversational thread doesn't exist. That's not the way to go. All right? Just saying. Yeah, Mel Scott, yeah, that's exactly my point. You know, we all have to support each other. Well, we don't have to, but it's a good idea. Yeah. It's the Pete Rozelle idea, right? All for one and one for all. The Barber 1974, how are you? Reminding us the Oakland Raiders do indeed belong in Oakland. How you been, Barber? What's happening? Something else, too. Steve Wynn stepped down. And I want to see if there's any information I may have missed regarding Mr. Wynn. Oh, you know another good local online news source is called the Nevada Independent. And let's see what the Nevada Independent has reported. Okay, top story. Analysts offer mixed predictions for Wynn Resort's financial future following casino mogul's departure. And then state Senate recall battle makes first stop in court. Initial decision could come in mid-February. And so we've got, let's see here. Sisolak Political Action Committee released dueling statements on his sanctuary city stance. That's a hot button issue. That could sink him. And then voting rights groups backed by Jason Kander expand into Nevada. Ousted North Las Vegas City Manager Council has personal vendetta after she fired ally of mayor. And so those are the top stories, okay? And then for some Nevada leaders, when resignation signals that powerful are no longer immune from consequences. So I don't see anything here that directly has to do with the Raiders, at least today. Nothing. Switch plan ambitious, massive solar project claims will be the single largest solar project portfolio in the United States. UNLV will keep win donation, urge students to learn from revelations. Possible land sale stirs tensions on Clark County School Board of Trustees. Wow. Nevada loses money for foreclosure aid amid misspending. And what does this says? Rape Crisis Center seeks inquiries drop. Oh boy. That's not good. That is not good at all. Well, it's either, you can look at it this way. You can say it's not good, or you can say it means that there's more women that are encouraged to report. That's good. But nothing about the Raiders. Let's see if I do a search for, if I just type Raiders, and then hit search, let's see what comes up here. Henderson approved first steps toward discounted land sale. Think about that. And this is good. This says Henderson approved first steps toward discounted land sale. First steps, okay? And that was January 3rd. And yeah, it says the Henderson City Council voted 5-0 on Tuesday to approve a resolution leading to the sale of 55 acres of land near the Henderson Municipal Airport for the football team. And it was sold to LVR Real Property LLC, a Nevada-based business owned by the Raiders. And it still needs to be finalized. It was finalized, okay? So, yeah. So that was finalized. And it says, but that procedural hurdle didn't stimulate enthusiasm from business representatives from the football team, or even city officials who touted the deal's return on investment and potential to spur development in nearly 600 surrounding unused acres in West Henderson. And we'll see. So, Don Webb is the stadium consultant hired by the Raiders. That's interesting here. Don Webb was hired by the Raiders as a stadium consultant. Larry McNeil. Let's see, Larry McNeil, Raiders. Here we go. Okay. Larry McNeil, Raiders. And there's Raiders hire Larry McNeil. Raiders moved from Oakland. So, interesting. There's no mention of Larry McNeil. I mean, none. As there's only the 49ers Larry McNeil page. The news that the Raiders added Larry McNeil as their stadium consultant to the team and they made him vice president. That was February 11th, 2016. Okay. And no information about them parting ways with McNeil. It's like he just vanished into thin air. That's strange. That's really strange. Now, I'm something happened here with Larry McNeil. But what? I'm just going to type Larry McNeil Stadium. See what I get. I don't get anything. I see a couple of videos by me, and that's it. So now I am suspicious. Now I am very suspicious. Let me try 2018. Okay. Yeah, I am very suspicious. Because he was the negotiator. Something's going on. Quentin Rose says, only thing about the Raiders is that they will build their headquarters and practice facility in Henderson. Their training camp will be in Reno, according to the Raiders. Quentin Rose says, I believe McNeil was working on a deal in Oakland. Once that failed, I believe he moved on. My point is, when he moved on to where? That's my question. And they kept it very quiet, because now it's Don Webb, okay? Now it's Don Webb. Black Lion says, no one has love for the Raiders like Oakland. And so, Barry Lee asks a question. Zinni, you might have missed it, but did you say or no what the projected shortfall for the tax revenue in Vegas is? Well, it depends. It's a range. If the bonds are at 3.08% for a $650 million issue for 30 years, then the projected taxpayer loss is about $50 million. If it is at 4%, the projected taxpayer loss is at $250 million. Okay? So right now, let's see, where's the municipal bond market? Muni bond rates 2018. Let's see here. Hold on a second. Muni bond rates 2018. Bond rates for your state, serving all 50 states. FMS bonds maturity today is 30-year national today is at 2.90. Okay, so 2.90. Now that's for AAA rated muni bonds. This bond may be rated, holy shnikey. This bond may be rated AA. If this bond is rated AA, a 30-year is going to be 3.15, which would translate into almost about a $70 million, off the top of my head, $70 million loss. All right? So that's what we're looking at. And the key is, I mean, look, this bond is not going to be AAA rated, okay? I can tell you that. It's not going to be AAA rated. AA, yeah. AAA, it's not seeing AAA territory at all. But we're already in a territory where this thing's going to lose money for the tax. It's going to not produce money that the taxpayer will have to make the difference up with, okay? So that's where that is. And so Quentin Rose says, I heard that Oakland's lawsuit calls for monetary losses only. Is that true? Nothing's been written. Everyone asks me about the lawsuit. Wait until something is written. You know, I had one guy speculating, oh, you know, they're going to ask for the name. And no one knows. It's still in discussion. Nothing is concrete. Now the question is, what should they ask for? I simply believe that what they should do is file an injunction. Stop! Stop! Okay? And so another comment here says Hennessy, how are you? Hennessy says Raiders will stay in Oakland. Mark will not be the owner in the next 2 or 3 years. If they're really committed, they should have signed the non-relocation agreement. Just saying. And Hennessy, I'm just saying you're absolutely correct. Raven wants me to predict the Raiders' next year record. I'm not going to do that. I mean, why throw numbers out? What's based on what? I mean, it's not just a matter of what Gruden does; it's the rest of the league. You know, so he could put up a 6-10 season. If that happens, what are you going to have? People jumping off bridges? I hope not. Yeah, you know, don't do that. Okay, man. Let's just wait and see. If you want, rather than predicting, do this. Fashion a plan. Who you want to see the Raiders draft and pick, how you want to see them fashion their team, defense, offense, special teams, and send it to them. You know, take some ownership for what you want them to do rather than this dang on predicting. I can't stand that. It's like, give me a break. Then it's like, oh, you were wrong, and it gets into this parochial, immature, juvenile, you were wrong, you know, which, you know, sometimes I do too. Just being honest. Big Apple says, who should the Raiders draft and will they keep Lynch? I think the Raiders should draft a running back. However, I think that, you know, as I see Rashard Perry, if they can get him in the second round, he may come up a bit and do it. And I really believe that the whole business of building the offensive line with top flight talent's not done. But I don't believe the Raiders should spend a pick on number 9 or 10 on offensive linemen if they can get Saquon Barkley or Bryce Love, okay? If they can get one of the two of them, fine, all right? So, are the Raiders cutting Crabtree? I thought they were going to do that. And so Corvette says, won't predict until after the draft and free agency. Yeah, Corvette, that's the smart comment of the night. Absolutely. Hey, folks, it's 12:18, and I'm on this kick of getting to bed earlier than I have before. So I'm going to shove off at 12:30, which is earlier for me than usual. I will, but I've done 2 shows already tonight. And, oh, Love is back to Stanford? He really? That's interesting. So, Bryce Love, let me see something here. That's interesting. Are you sure about that? Bryce Love. Let's see here. Bryce Love news. Yep. Bryce Love to return for senior season at Stanford. That was as of January 16th. Cardinal running back. Well, let's see what happened here. So, thanks for the info. Much appreciated. Was returning for his senior season. Mainly, you know, I think what happened was that he decided. Well, let me read this. This is by ESPN. Heisman Trophy runner-up Bryce Love has decided to return to Stanford for his senior season, he announced Tuesday. Dang it! There goes our great chance as Cal Bears to beat Stanford. Anyway, I will return to Stanford next season while continuing to earn my degree in human biology, said Love, who rushed for 2,118 yards, second most in the FBS despite missing 1 game and playing most of the 2017 season with an injured ankle. Honored to be a Cardinal and to play for this university another year, back to work. Love, a junior from Wake Forest, North Carolina, didn't make his decision until late Monday night. His father, Christopher, told ESPN Tuesday the deadline for underclassmen to enter April's NFL draft was at midnight on Monday. Love finished second in Heisman Trophy voting this past season behind Oklahoma quarterback Baker Mayfield. Hey, you know what? Tomorrow I'll look at, and since it was released, those players that were invited to the combine. So I didn't do that. If I had done that, I would have known about Bryce Love. Got to keep up with everything. He's returned. Love is back to Stanford. Bryce Love is back to Stanford. Wow, how about that? All right, folks, I'm going to begin my... Where's Crawford when you need him to say wax on, wax off? Where's John Marks? Raybon says, we don't need a running back. Actually, the Raiders do need a running back. Okay, let me see something else. The Raiders are, you know what? The Raiders are very much in need of an age roster reduction. They really are. And Quinn Rose says, wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. Wax on, wax off. And, oh, by the way, am I saying that the Raiders need a running back is nothing against Marshawn Lynch at all. But the Raiders need something that no one provides right now, and that is a slashing, fast running back that can be the ball, that can be the breakaway threat that even Marshawn Lynch is not at this stage of his career, okay? At this stage, all right? So, and the running backs we have, behind him, I'm not sold on. So, that's it. Just not. So, you're not going to convince me. It's nothing personal. It's only business. You should know, Godfather. We should know, Godfather. Hey, Rob Iman, how you doing? Oh, my Rob, I'm a few minutes away from retiring. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Sorry about that. I've done 2 shows tonight, so I was about to like, you know. But Big Able says Lynch can be like Zach Crockett if he stays. Oh, I am all about Lynch staying, but I'm all about having Marshawn Lynch as one of 2 backs in a very unique system. That's me. That says nothing for what I think John Gruden will do. Okay? I think Gruden will keep Lynch for the energy he brings to the team, for what he represents to the community, for the hue and cry that there would undoubtedly be if he were allowed to escape in some kind of way. I think it would be a mistake. I think there were people who would drop their season tickets if the Raiders did that. Okay? So, no. Arguably, Marshawn Lynch has become the heart and soul of the Raiders. So you can't replace that easily, and, you know, why bother, right? So, but you don't rest on having one person. And as Big April very accurately point out, Gruden always liked having 3 backs on the team. Yeah, he had, remember Charlie Gardner, right? That was his major back when he was coaching the Raiders. Remember Charlie Gardner? Number 25. Yeah. Oh, all right, folks. It's 12:24. I'm going to start going wax on. Was it wax on? Wax off? Or is it this way? Just wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. The waxer. That's like clap on, clap off. You ever think that clap on, clap off, clap on, clap? Anyway, whatever. All right. I'm getting rest. Good night, everybody. The Cavs slapped their losing streak. The Cavs are still a disaster. Peace out, everybody. See you tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow we talk about the events of today with respect to National Signing Day, which were really the events of yesterday, since if you're on the East, it's 12:24, but if you're on the West, it's 9:24. So there we go. We're going to talk about that. All right. Good night, everybody. Peace out. See you guys later. Thank you for the shows. See you all later.